Hey guys, what's going on? How are y'all? I put out my Alaska video. Hopefully you guys like that. It took me a while to edit. I had to go through a whole bunch of footage. I had to go through about a week's worth of footage, and I hadn't edited in a while, and so I was kind of slow, so it took me hours on hours to edit that video. Hopefully you guys liked it. It wasn't that monumentous of a video, but it did take some time, so hopefully you guys appreciated it. I was a little rusty on that. Hopefully you forgive me. Today, I wanted to talk about happiness. Now you may be thinking, oh, Kane's about to give me a life advice, life tip, whatever. I was gonna say life lesson, but that wouldn't really make sense. Now, I think all of us can agree that we get caught up in our day-to-day life and we forget about being happy. Now, happiness is ambiguous. Happiness is intangible, can't touch it, but it's a super important thing when it comes to your life. Some people base their success off of happiness. Some people strive, their life goal is just to be happy. I don't know how that works out. It seems pretty challenging in my book, almost impossible, because I mean, unless you have a condition where you just don't feel sadness or anything. Happiness is important, but it's not all, how should I put this? It's not all about happiness. Because what would happiness be without the contrasting sadness or loneliness or troubles that come with living, with life? Happiness is sometimes hard to find. Sometimes you think you won't find happiness for a while. Sometimes you are happy for a while. Happiness is sometimes elusive, and it's important to be happy. It's important to strive for happiness, but you have to accept that happiness comes at a price. So what I mean by that, you're gonna have some down days. You're gonna have some down weeks. You could possibly have down years. Let's talk about my happiness to put it all into perspective. I'm not always a happy guy. I have days where I don't want to talk to anyone because I'm in a bad mood. Partly because I woke up that way, because the chemicals in my body have made me unhappy, and it's something that I can't help, or someone has put me in a bad mood, or a situation has placed me in a mood. And sometimes to get through certain situations, you almost have to be unhappy. If something bad happens to you, you can't just go through that situation forcing yourself to be happy, because that's just unhealthy. You almost have to adapt to the situation emotionally. So I don't think the question is how to be happy or what is happiness. I think the question is happiness as a whole in context with other emotions that are equally as important as happiness. What I'm trying to say probably won't make sense, but I just felt like talking about it. Probably gonna ramble. I'm probably not gonna make sense, but if it does make sense, cool, good. That's what I tried to do. Striving for happiness is important, but striving for happiness shouldn't be your priority, because you're almost never going to reach that point of eternal happiness, if that makes sense. Your daily life will always have a twist or a turn that will take you into a different direction that you didn't want to go to, but you have to accept the fact that it happened. And I'm not saying it religiously, because to be honest, I don't think I'm religious. That's a whole different story. But I do believe there's a higher power. Personally, I don't think that higher power, has a say on why something happened. I think it's just everything falling into plan. That may sound contradictory, but whatever, I don't care. You have to appreciate the situation you're in to almost reach that state of happiness. You have to understand that that thing happened and you have to move on. So say you were going into town, driving into town, get a phone call, someone needs your help doing something. Say you're going over to someone's house and you're helping them instead of going into town. I think it's important to realize that even though you didn't go into town, you helped someone out, you made them happy, and without you, they wouldn't have accomplished what they were, needing your help for. So I think once you put it into perspective, you can accept situations that you weren't happy with. So happiness wouldn't be a thing without sadness. Without sadness, you couldn't appreciate happiness. Sadness is on the spectrum where we treat it with dislike. Happiness we like happiness. Obviously, everyone likes happiness. You almost need that dose of contrasting, whatever contrast happiness that you're feeling, jealousy, anger, yada yada. Happiness can't exist without experiencing the other things. So it's okay to not always be happy. And I think that the real secret to being happy is accepting that this may sound silly, but the main way to be happy is understanding that there isn't going to be happiness. As contradictory as that sounds, fully experience happiness, you have to fully experience the other qualities as well. This probably makes no sense whatsoever. I'm always the one that's optimistic. I always look for the light in the dark. I look for the good and the bad. But at other times, you almost have to be realistic. I know, like, imagining fantasy-like situations can make you happy. I think a lot of people do that to sort of cope with the reality that, you know, happiness isn't always there. We have our daily lives. If we were always happy, we wouldn't be able to proceed through our daily lives the way we should, which is important. Strive for all the happiness that you want. I will support you. I think everyone will support you on trying to be happy. But I think on that road to happiness, you have to accept the fact that you're never going to be happy. You're going to reach some level of it, but it's never going to be that expectation that you desire. This is my opinion. I'm 18 years old. I still have many years to live, to experience life. And I don't want to sound like braggadocious. I don't want to sound presumptuous about, you know, knowing the meaning of happiness, knowing the meaning of life, all this mumbo jumbo. I'm just speaking from the bottom of my heart. No, I still have a lot to learn. I think we all have a lot to learn still. On our deathbed, we can always learn more. Honestly, it's going to be different for every person. But I think one thing that always remains the same is you're going to have a hard time trying to find happiness. And everyone's level of happiness is different. Everyone's true meaning of happiness is different to them. You're not always going to be happy, as I've said 20 billion times. And I'm rambling, and I know that, but whatever. Yeah.